Hello and welcome to my meditation. I am so grateful and delighted that you have joined me for this little while. Let me apologize for the audio for last week. I have a new microphone and I hope I have corrected that issue. Plus I don't have boats and traffic behind me like I did when I was in Ocean City, Maryland. So let's begin with our 3 really nice deep breaths. All the way down to your belly, and then slowly let it out. And let's imagine the next time, breathe into your belly, and then just kind of let the air fill up the tops of your lungs. Hold it for a second and then let it go. And then one more time, all the deepest breath you've taken all day. Hold it for a second and just let go of anything that may be bothering you, anything that you may have had on your mind. Feels good just to pause and let go, doesn't it? I liked what we did last week with the idea of softening the muscles, that our bodies listen to us when we make a request of them. So let's imagine that we begin with the top of our heads this week. Let's begin up there and just imagine we asked all of the muscles in our heads, around our ears, our faces, all around our skulls, to just soften. Yes. We're relaxing now, Daisy. I gotta sit down. Good girl. And now feel that softening into the muscles all around the base of your head. And think about your head like a bobblehead. And just soften all of those muscles that hold it up. And then your neck. Imagine like being able to soften all those little tiny muscles around your vertebrae in the back of your neck. And stretch it out a little if you want to. Whatever works for you. Just imagine all those neck muscles relaxing, and then feel it go down into your around your collarbones, your shoulders, your shoulder blades in the back. Feel your shoulder blades sink down a little. Your neck grows a little longer when you relax your shoulders. And just feel it continue to move down, softening your upper arms all the way to your elbows, your biceps and your triceps. Feel yourself softening them, letting them go to a neutral, relaxed position. And then picture your elbows the same way. And then your lower arms, all these muscles in your lower arms. Just soften them. And notice as you do, your hands begin to get heavy because we use these muscles to move our hands. So feel it then in your wrists and your hands. Your palms, the backs of your hands, each finger. Just feel all of those muscles softening. And now notice that softness going into your rib cage. All of the muscles around each rib, all the muscles around the vertebrae in your rib cage. And notice that softening going inside your body too. Softening around your heart, holding your precious heart in this soft, safe cocoon of love. Noticing as you feel that energy and that softness move down into your midsection, notice how brave you are. What you have faced in your lifetime, what you may still be facing. And kind of that sense of, especially as we get older, like what lies ahead. I don't, I don't normally, think in terms of gloom and doom, but, none of us gets out of here alive. So that we will each exit in our own unique ways. And most of us don't know how that will be. So just trusting the universe and just softening into that idea that it was just like our birth and everything that has happened up until now, it was perfect, ideal for us, for our human experience this time. So now notice that softness all around the bottoms of your ribs, your middle back, your middle torso. Into your midsection and all around your waist, and then into your pelvic girdle, all the muscles around your pelvis, in your pelvis, your lower back, all around your hips, your hip sockets, your lower torso. Just notice the sweet softening going on through your body, all the way down to your tailbone and your pelvic floor. Allow the muscles in your pelvic floor to let go. And then feel it move into the tops of your legs, into your upper legs, all the large muscles and the small muscles in the tops of your legs, your upper legs, your thighs, and then around your knees. And then feel that softness go all the way into the marrow of your bones, and then through your knees into your lower legs, your calves and your shins. All the way down into your ankles and your feet. Feel all the muscles in your feet just soften and your feet let go. So we continue our exploration of the 12, or the promises. They've been delineated as 12, but it can be redefined. It doesn't matter. The one that we're looking at today is the promise of, as we work through our spiritual process, and of course it directly refers to the 12 steps, but even if you're not working the 12 steps, as you work through your life, imagine being promised this, that feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. So those are two different ideas, that feeling of uselessness. Sometimes when my life is really busy and I've got my to-do list and I have to check everything off before I leave for a trip, or, before an occasion happens or someone comes to town, I have this list, and then once the event is over, there's that, not maybe uselessness, maybe not quite that strong, but that kind of, that feeling that, what's next? What do I do now? That sense of kind of, I don't know what to do, the sense of being rudderless or without direction. And how does that disappear? When we relax into our faith. When we trust that each step we're taking is the ideal step on our path. In many of my readings with clients, I've used the analogy that your path is coming from within you, as though you are holding the stack of stepping stones and you're tossing them out in front of you. And so you get to decide your path. Your infinite soul, I'm sure, had some things in mind before you came into this life. But each step along the way is yours to take. You get to decide through your human self and your infinite self. So trusting that each step is ideal is wonderful. And I think about just all the tiny little ways that my circuitous path has brought me to somebody's drinking out of the bird bath over there, not mentioning any names. Think about all the ways that your circuitous path has led you to something wonderful. I can remember hiking and thinking, should we go down this way? Is this the right way or is that the right way? And it's always the right way. Now, if you have a destination in mind, it may take you a little longer to get there, but every step along your path is precious. So think about the times when you just need to rest, when you need to relax. We are still in the midst of a global pandemic that is, we hope, winding down. And one of the biggest messages of the pandemic was slow down. Let go. Let the world revolve around you. You don't have to be in the thick of it. And in fact, for a short period of time, they removed the thick of it. And we went into a quarantine. And I am sure that it deeply affected everyone who experienced it. It was something that we will be telling our grandchildren and children and great-grandchildren about, for the rest of our lives, because it was profound. That idea of stepping back and allowing something greater to happen. So the something greater in the case of the pandemic was stopping the spread of the disease by not having contact with one another. But what if the something greater was we got to stay home a little more, and we got to spend more time with our loved ones, got to know our neighbors. All of it was in perfect divine order. It truly was. And it still is. So when you find yourself feeling useless or listless or, without sense of direction, I invite you to stop and pause and just relax into your faith and know that there is an infinite presence moving in, through, and as you. And all we have to do is recognize it. All we have to do is pause and go, oh yeah, the infinite presence is the truest part of me, so I'm going to tune into it. I'm going to listen and trust it. So the second half of that feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Now the idea of self-pity is, to me, kind of a slippery slope, because I've known people who said they were feeling self-pity when they were actually feeling grief and sorrow and sadness. So I asked my guides, help me to get clear on that, on the difference, so that I can share that with others, so that I can explain it. And the sense I get of it is that when grief and sorrow and sadness happen, we don't allow ourselves to experience it. And we distract ourselves and we call it all sorts of other things. We divert it into the lane of anger, or we divert it into the lane of fear, instead of just being in the lane of sorrow and sadness and grief. I've recently been with some people who have had some major losses. And I think if you are my age or older or, whatever age, chances are you've experienced a major loss. And we really don't get a sense of our journey through those losses until until we get to the other side and realize that the pain isn't quite as sharp, quite as acute, it isn't quite as all-encompassing. And so sometimes that other lane that we go to when we don't want to feel our sadness and sorrow is self-pity, which is, woe is me, poor me, nothing good ever happens to me. And what that is that's a mood. It's a false state that allows us to avoid what we're feeling, what the true feeling. So when you feel yourself, woe is me, nothing good ever happens, poor me, I'm down on my luck, and I'll always be down on my luck, whatever it is. Recognize that those are thoughts, and you can change thoughts. Self-pity is just a whole package of thoughts. And we can change our thoughts. And when the thoughts are around an emotion, what we're invited to do is experience the emotion. So it's possible that self-pity is hiding fear, maybe, or hiding anger. Whatever it is, the moods, I have a book called Amazing Intuition, Expanding Your Most Important Resource. And in there I have a chart that talks about what moods, what thoughts we use to deflect ourselves from our emotions. So when we when we are feeling anger and we don't want to feel anger, we often revert to blame. Well, if this hadn't happened, or if this person hadn't done this or that. And really what it is I don't want to feel angry, so I want to deflect my thoughts to something else so that I don't have to feel the emotion. And I just talked about self-pity and woe is me being the deflect from sadness and sorrow. And then you get down to fear, and the deflect for fear is worry. And we think that we're feeling our fear when we are worrying, but typically worry is this obsession, this mental obsession. Worry is about, oh my gosh, what if this happens, what if that happens? Parents proudly saying, I couldn't sleep until, I knew my kid was okay, which, may be responsible parenting, or, but it's also about worry. And I can be at peace knowing that my children are okay wherever they are, whatever age they are, trusting the universe. And the last emotion that I want to talk about is shame, and how we deflect from shame is guilt. So instead of allowing ourselves to feel our shame for, it can be something as simple as not writing a thank you note. We can obsess on the guilt. Oh, I feel so guilty. I didn't do it. Or just feel ashamed, I feel ashamed that I didn't write that thank you note. And as soon as we say, I feel ashamed for minor things, the shame releases. And the bigger things, that's a conversation for a different time. But when we become conscious of our thoughts, really what this whole thing boils down to is we choose our thoughts. And that beautiful bird. Our thoughts define our lives. Our thoughts color our lives. Our thoughts decide. So when we choose the thought, I'm going to allow myself to process the emotions, going to be present to my emotions. We don't need all the other mood, all those other deflections, because we can be present to ourselves. And you deserve that. You are worthy of being present to yourself. Being present to your infinite self, being present to your human personality and your human experience and all your relationships. Being present to that in this moment. Because you are a beautiful, beautiful soul, whole and perfect, exactly as you are. And when that feeling of uselessness and self-pity disappears, we feel peace. We feel worthy. We feel honored because we are honoring ourselves. So take another nice deep breath. If I'm savvy enough, I'll post that chart at the end of the video. So let's just know that we are whole and perfect exactly as we are, in the divine presence, moving in, through, and as me, honors and recognizes and sends infinite unconditional love to the divine presence moving in, through, and as you. In other words, namaste.